Alright, we're doing something a little different today. I'm sort of starting this video in my neighborhood because I thought it would be fun for people to see what it's like near where I live. It's so beautiful out here. You guys, we're like 3 minutes from the freeway, and I live in the Portland metropolitan area, so to find something that's this rural feeling, that close to the freeway, is pretty awesome. And if I jump on the freeway and then the expressway, I can get into Portland proper in like 15 minutes. Not even that long, probably. So downtown Portland, about 20 to 25 minutes. Anyway, I love this area. And over here, we're like a block from my house. And over here, across the way, that's a farm. And they've got alpacas and goats and sheep and chickens. And they have a big meadow. And so in the evening, around 7 o'clock, we have deer that come down out of the forest, out of those trees, and they come down and graze in the meadow with right there next to the sheep and the alpacas. It's so fun. And so we have a creek right here. This is Kellogg Creek, so it's very small. And it's a good block and a half from our house, so we're not in the flood zone or anything like that. And it's kind of, warmer weather, so the creek is very low right now, but it's so pretty here. Look at this, you guys. And we usually have ducks that come down in here and find all kinds of goodies. And back there are some wild blackberries, more blackberries right there. So when those come ripe in August, I just walk down here and pick berries. It's just one of the most beautiful and serene spots. And sometimes I just come here and listen to the birds and listen to the ducks and the creek and the bees and everything, and just think, clear my mind a little bit. So I'm gonna oh look, here's Chester. He came with me today. So I'm sure he's finding all kinds of fun smells. Hello, here I am. Oh God, I look terrible. Oh well, here I am. I have the sweetest story, you guys. Something that happened last night, and I had to come and I had to share. So last night, when my partner Gary and I were heading out, I don't know what to call him, because we're not engaged, we're definitely not married, but I don't want to just be some girlfriend. I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone, but I feel like that term is so temporary and teenager and high school, and we are way more than that. Or I want to be way more than just a girlfriend, because that's so disposable sounding and I don't like it. So I say partner, but I don't know. He doesn't ever want to get married again. That's an interesting setup, because I kind of do, but oh well. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. It's not important right now. Hold on, Chester. So last night, though, we were getting ready pretty late, actually. It was like 10:30 at night, but 3 times a week we go on a 3-mile walk. And even if it's 10:30 at night, because it's just something we've got to do. And last night we were getting ready to go on one of our walks. I got Chester down for a nap. Oh my gosh, it's like having a baby, you guys. I can't go until he's down for a nap. I could put him in his kennel, but he is so anxious. He will bark and scratch to get out the entire time. There's nothing I can do about it. And no, I can't kennel train him. He has the most unusual anxiety I've ever seen in an animal in my entire life. So we're just going to leave that there. But got Chester all down for a nice long nap, and he actually slept all night until this morning at 7 o'clock when he woke up to go out. Gary headed out first, and he said, oh, and I heard the voice, and I'm like, well, something's up. So I walk up there to where he is, right on our front porch, and he's looking down. He says, look, he says, it's still moving. I don't think anyway, it was this little mouse, and little gray mouse. He's so cute. I think gray brown. It's so cute and so sweet and so little. And one of the cats outside probably got to it, but it seemed all right, just maybe stunned. I don't know. But we looked at each other, and we're looking at this little creature, and we're talking about, well, what do we do? We can't, Gary's like, well, we can't just leave it here. But I don't want to just put it somewhere under a bush, because the cats are going to smell it and sniff it out and get to it. And so we decided, there's only one thing to do. And so I pick up the little guy, and bless its heart, it was just kind of surrendering, I guess, but it was peaceful. And it was just kind of laying there in my palms, in the palm of my hand. And Gary goes inside, and he found a box, and we decided to put the little guy in the box. And so I went and grabbed a little napkin and put it down there for him for a little bit of bedding. And then Gary went and said, well, I gotta get some water, it might be thirsty. And he goes, okay, you guys, Gary is like a 63-year-old man, so this is so freaking sweet. But he goes and he gets like this little jar lid and fills it up with water and puts it in the box. And then he's like, well, what do they eat? And I said, well, and I poked in the cupboards and got a little pinch of oats and a pinch of some tiny walnut pieces and set those in the box. And we got our little buddy all kind of tucked in. And the whole thing just, first of all, I was thinking about it today. And really, it's such a simple thing, but yet it felt so profound to me. The fact that we were just both so naturally inclined toward compassion for this little helpless creature. And, regardless of whether, it was gonna make it or not, because we couldn't tell. We both just intrinsically wanted to make sure that the little guy at least had peace and safety and rest and comfort, for the last remaining minutes or hours or whatever it was he had left on this earth. And we didn't have to talk to each other about it at all. We were just so organically in tune with each other and so motivated in the same direction. It just really revealed to me, even though I already knew this, but it revealed to me even more strongly, like how compassionate and caring and kind that man is. Oh my gosh, man. He is just so moved towards suffering and toward need, and so am I. And we just, we just both instinctively decided we gotta do something for this little critter I mean, we both save spiders, so, and every time he finds one, he calls me, and we like work together on getting it in a jar or a glass, and it's just like, this is the kind of man he is. That kind of man deserves a shop. So maybe this is a shop update, but it has nothing to do with a shop. But I want that dream shop for him so bad. It's gonna happen. So, but that's what we did. And we had this little guy in the box, and we kind of tucked him in there all nice and safe and sound. And we left for our walk. And we came back, and, you know, immediately we had to check on our mouse friend. And he was still alive. He was still breathing, and kind of, he actually was moving around a little bit and kind of checking some things out in the box. And eventually we did end up going to bed. I woke up before Gary this morning because Chester woke me up. So, and I had to get up and make his dad breakfast and stuff. So I did go in the kitchen, and I lifted our little, we didn't cover the box completely, but we had kind of a lid. Actually, it was a voter's pamphlet that we had mostly covered the top with. And I peeked in there, and I saw, you guys, after I had gone to bed, Gary had at some point dropped a few little shreds of cheese in there for him too. It was the sweetest thing. And you know, oh my gosh, like right then is when I really started thinking about the profundity, I guess, of this whole thing. Oh my goodness. But I checked on our little fella, and he was still warm, but I couldn't detect any breathing this morning. And sure enough, you know, by the time Gary was up, our little guy didn't make it. Now, we haven't had an official funeral for it, but we are going to do something tonight together to give this guy, you know, his final send-off, I guess, out of the 3D, out of this physical world. But it was just I guess, well, okay, I'm here to say that very obviously there are still people in this world who have so much goddamn goodness in them. So if you haven't found someone like that yet, please do not lose hope, because they are out there. Now, I'm going to say, Gary is older than me by 10 years, and he is not, like, I don't have a type, though. I'm what my daughter says, well, I'm attracted to people, the emotional attraction and stuff like that, and I can't remember, sapiosexual or something like that, I don't know. But of course now, you know, and I told Gary this yesterday or the day before, that I have never been more attracted to a man in my entire life, physically actually, than I am to him. It's, I don't know why, it's the most uncanny thing. He was a blonde all his life. I would have never, I liked dark-haired guys when I was a teenager, right? But something about him to me just, oh my God, just draws me to him. And it could be his energy, and it could just be, you know, that whole namaste thing, like spirit recognizes spirit. And my spirit can feel his soul, I think, and I am so drawn to him. God. But that's the thing, you know, you have got to be open-minded, because the right person will quite possibly catch you by surprise. You just never know, I don't think, who it's gonna be. And if you're open and just kind of surrendering to God or the universe, and I prayed for someone like Gary, and I asked God for someone like Gary, and I wrote in my journal for someone like Gary. I had no idea, number one, that it would end up being somebody a lot older than me. And politically on kind of the opposite end of the spectrum as me. That's something I would have never anticipated. Of course, the beauty is he and I are both so aligned in what matters. Love for humanity, openness, acceptance, embrace for all people, everyone. And we're both very moved by the underdog and by the suffering and by need. So like, and the fact that we just operate from a place of love, both of us. Love is the thing that guides us through life. And while we are different in a lot of respects, we're actually so very aligned. And that's the thing, like, you have to remain open. And I would say think qualities over more superficial crap. Even though it was very important to me to find somebody that loves live music the way that I do, and that loves like classic cars and car shows the way that I do. Because I like going to car shows, and if I absolutely love it and go to as many as I possibly can. Well, so does he. And of course I am a lead singer of a band, and I go to live music, and it is like life to me, and it just so happens that it's life to him too. And dude, you know what else we were doing yesterday? Like, I am living the most wonderful life. It's like heaven on earth to me. Yeah, outside of all my financial struggles. Yesterday, we also were sitting next to each other, listening to music. But not just listening to music, but like, he starts playing Cat Stevens. And, you know, we're on his Spotify, and we've done this before so many times, but yesterday it just kind of happened, and we're sitting next to each other, and we're listening to Cat Stevens, and and he pulls up the lyrics so that we could follow along with the lyrics on Spotify, and he's talking about the lyrics and kind of analyzing them, and then we both, you know, once again we're listening to Peace Train, and we both love that song so much, you know, and he's saying things like, my gosh, I wish they would play this at all sporting events, you know, like, just, he and I are so aligned, and it is the most beautiful thing to be able to sit next to somebody and listen to music, but not just listen to music and consume it, but listen to music and sometimes dissect the instrumentality and the musicianship of a song, and sometimes sit down and very spiritually reflect on the lyrics of a song, and let the lyrics move us. You know, sometimes Gary will just play a song for me, and he says, now I'm gonna hold your hand because I know you're gonna cry. And it's just, you guys, sometimes I just forget how blessed and fortunate I am. I could go on and on and on and on about this man. I love him for who he is. I think he's the most fascinating and wonderful person That's why I want somehow to make sure that very soon, before he's too old to, even tinker on cars anymore, very soon he's able to get that shop of his. God's gonna make it happen.